let's get a view on the future of Suella Braverman. Does she have anything more to answer? What should the Prime Minister, in whose hands she now, her future career certainly sits in her hands, what should he do about this business, about the speeding fine and the process of maybe asking the wrong people for help about a private training course? Gina Miller is leader of the True and Fair Party in the United Kingdom and is joining us live. Gina, welcome to our coverage.
Good morning.
Suella Braverman, is she fit for purpose?
Gosh, that's a rather big question. I think it's on this particular incident with the speeding fine, the Prime Minister has to launch an inquiry because we don't know all the facts and he needs to ascertain what exactly happened. And if she has broken the Ministerial Code, then she needs to go because it will be her second time of breaking the Ministerial Code if she's found to have done so. But I think this is it's a much broader question about, is the Ministerial Code fit for purpose? And I would argue it isn't. It should be put into law, and these sorts of incidents should go before an independent tribunal, not the Prime Minister, as being the ultimate arbiter of whether somebody should be in office or not.
It's all a bit cumbersome, all this bureaucracy, isn't it? Isn't it quite a simple matter? If she did overstep and have a minor technical breach of the Ministerial Code, there are sanctions for that. He could dock her pay. He can ask her to apologise. Why don't they deal with it like that?
None of this really makes sense, because even going back to saying, well, why didn't she take the points? And, there seems to be so much more than this, because there was actually last month, Mrs. Braverman was before the Independent Public Administration Committee, and she asked apparently the hypothetical question of, if there was a speeding fine while you were doing parliamentary business, could that fine be claimed as expenses? This is absurd. Why should the public have to pay for the expenses of her speeding, even if it was a hypothetical question? It is cumbersome. If it was into law, you would have a very strict, narrow process. But I think this keeps happening time and time again. The Ministerial Code, dubious behaviour keeps popping up. We need to have a system that the public can trust and that we can know is working, and it's not, about people's loyalty. Did they support you? Are they going to dent the numbers when it comes to how many seats you have in your majority? There's too much.
Oh, Gina, come on! That's
here.
the nature of politics. These things are coloured, are they not, by all sorts of things that's going on in the cabinet, in the government of the day, etc., etc. Can I just ask you though about you? You did say in your first answer that if she has broken the Ministerial Code, she should go. Well, yeah, that's one sanction available, but surely that would be an extreme sanction for a relatively minor misdemeanour, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be her second time of breaking the Ministerial Code. And it's not, she is the senior law officer in this country, and it's about leadership and showing an example and setting the highest example. And to ask your civil servants to intervene on your individual, personal behalf is a serious breach of the Ministerial Code, because it shows you have no respect for the Ministerial Code or for the way, the them and us is blatantly being exploited.
And the Prime Minister did stand on the steps of Downing Street and talk about things like integrity. You think that sits rather uncomfortably with incidents like this, once the facts have been established, of course, because they haven't been admitted to just yet, have they?
No, I think the Prime Minister is almost dealing with whack-a-mole. He sort of made those statements about integrity and leading a government of integrity. And every week there's something else that bubbles up that he seems to be out of his control. That's why we are strong advocates of the True and Fair Party of all this being put into having a much more robust system that means we don't have these conflicts of interest. And you said it was how politics works. Well, I'm sorry, but we need to clean up how politics works. It wouldn't happen in any other walk of life.
You think take the process of adjudicating these matters outside of the Prime Ministerial remit altogether? Wouldn't then whoever you appoint to the body that does make the decision become a political appointee? So you just sort of, it's a deflection. You just move the problem elsewhere.
Absolutely not. If you have an independent tribunal, be it an employment tribunal, etc., those are independent. You would have an independent committee that is not a political appointment.
Right, the True and Fair Party. We're talking earlier in our coverage about Dominic Raab deciding to stand down and go and do something else. How is the True and Fair Party going to do at a forthcoming hypothetical election next year?
Well, we're standing in, will be something between 10 and 12 seats. I have to say, Mr. Raab's seat is not one of them. So all our seats are outside of Labour's top 150 target and the Lib Dems' top 50 targets. But it's about trying to stand up and launch a party that is going to strengthen the machinery of government. For far too long, we've got this naive good chap model where we expect people in office to behave with integrity, but that's totally outdated and naive. We need a much more robust system that serves the public.
Gina Miller, thank you for being part of our coverage today. Gina Miller, leader of the True and Fair Party.